Hello, all you drama enthusiasts. Welcome to the meeting. This is Angie's Drama Room, and I am your meeting host, Angie. And today we are talking about the final ending of Marry My Husband Japanese or Japan. It was exceeded my expectations from the original version. It came down to the last three episodes. If you did not know, the director, the script writer, the actor and actresses all took this last three episodes and made it their own. It deviated away from the original ending of the Korean version, where on the Korean version, of course, you had it where the fiance to our male lead came in and she was the psychopathic crazy fiance. She didn't want to marry him, but she didn't want nobody else to have him. So, but in the Japanese version, that didn't happen. What happened is Reina became the psychopathic uh, woman. So it did come down to the last three episodes where Reina took it over. That was her. It was all about her and she drove those three episodes to the end. Every scene she was in, she was excellent in it. One of the things about when you're comparing to the Korean and the Japanese version, they have a different acting, directing, and writing style. If you did not know, one of the things about Korean versions, it's all about the style. It's all about style. There are substance in it, but they were focusing a lot on the fashion, a lot on our female lead, but it focused a lot on her fashion, and so she was still a great actress in it. She did an excellent job in acting in it. But with the Japanese version, they focused a lot on the continuity of the script, the emotions, the acting. They focus a lot on that, and that's the reason why I believe a lot of people like the Japanese version a lot better than they would have done on the Korean version. Um, the male leads between the two male leads, I really did enjoy Suzuki better, only because and since the fact that he was very handsome, his presence on screen was notable. Now with the male lead in the Korean version, he was handsome. However, it really was focused a lot on Park Min Young. That was her, and so they didn't really want to take away from her. So he was a little bit more of like the guy next door. He didn't have that exotic handsome that you would wanted to see, like we saw in Suzuki. And then with the now we're going to Reina, the best friend. Now in the beginning, I said that I felt that the best friend in the uh, Korean version was much more ruthless, which she was. However, when it came to the last three episodes with Reina in the Japanese version, she was just a psychopath. She became the psychopath. She became the version of the psychopath which you would have had with the fiance in the Korean version. So she became that version. She really went through on these scenes. They put her some reason, I don't know why. They brought in this grandmother, and so and then she took this grandmother. Now they went to her back to Misa's hometown, and it was snowing. It had to be snowstorms because it was just snow piled up everywhere. Snow was everywhere, and she took the grandmother. Barely had any clothes on. She just had a sweater and then she put a blanket over her and rolled her out in the snow. Dumped her in the snow. Ran off to go find Misa, and then Misa, and then it's like, wow, this is her craziness. This woman was crazy, and so then they ended up fighting. Misa and Reina ended up fighting in the snow, and then she got away. Now she found husband, and in a convenience store. And the way they shot that scene, it reminded me of like a horror movie because she's like banging on the door, on the window, and I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so yeah, it's like Johnny from Cycle, right? I'm here, or whatever he said in that line. This woman, she punched her mother-in-law in the nose because her mother-in-law thought she was crazy, but she was. She punched the mother-in-law in the nose because they found out she lied about being pregnant. Of course, that's not a spoiler if you watch the original version. And so yeah, and so the mother-in-law called her the son and told her about it. And so the son was mad. So the mother-in-law, look, hey, insurance policy here. Now he was in debt, but they didn't focus a lot on the debt like they did in the other versions. But yeah, he was in debt. And then we had it where the and so now Raina found out what he was doing. Or Raina was always one step ahead. She already knew what he was going to do. And then come on now, he's Googling how to X out your without getting caught. I'm like, dude, really? I mean, that'll be the first thing they would have found in your search history. But again, that's what he was doing, and Raina caught on to it. So Raina ended up finding somebody to help her. From it was the old manager. So she was able to find the old manager of the department to help her with all these things to split the two up. And it came down to head where they were at this hotel. The police was supposed to be in there, and it was supposed to be a sting operation. But instead, she stung them. And so yeah, so when Raina came in, so it was a lot of stuff going on, but the whole scene, that scene where she came through the back into the kitchen, she did a quick change artist. She took off the clothes, she put on her other clothes, she had on then she whipped around, turned around, pointed her ear, told Suzuki to take off his earpiece. He took it out, put it. That whole scene was fire. That scene alone would have been enough to watch. That scene alone, it was fire. I mean, the directing, the acting, it was excellent on that whole scene. And then we came to the head where she ended up, yeah, stabbing Suzuki. Okay, yeah, and blood everywhere. And one thing about Japanese directions, they keep to the script. They keep to the scene. Most times when you see stuff, they already had their hands washed or something. No, they kept to the scene. She had blood still on her hands after she stabbed Suzuki. Blood on her clothes. She had white, and I think that's probably why they had her in white because she had blood on her hands, on her clothes, and then when Suzuki came to rescue Misa, he still had the blood on his hands, and yeah, even though that was kind of right, he probably wouldn't have been able to do that, but however. We were still stuck with that, and I like that. That's one thing about Japanese style directing; they stick to the scene. And so then we know that what was happening was it was a death for a death, and that's kind of how it had to happen. So when Suzuki got stabbed, they needed a death for a death, and then when so in order for Misa to live, Reina fell out of the Ferris wheel, right, and fell to her demise. And so that was the death for Misa. So now they needed something for Suzuki. And of course, since Suzuki, since Reina already did something to her husband, Tomoa, I think that's how you pronounce it. So that scene, in order for Suzuki to live, he had a vision of his mother, and his mother said, "You need to go back to the woman that you love, to your love." And so that's what. And then at that point, that's when Tomoa passed away too, and then that's when Suzuki lived. And I like this version better. The last three, I like this version better than the complication of going back and forth with the fight fiance, that got confusing. I got confused. I don't know if anybody else got confused on that Korean version of the going back and forth. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people like this version better, because again, it was only 10 episodes, so they had to put a lot in there. And again, and the last 3 episodes, they used their own. They made it their own. The female lead in the Korean version, Park Min Young, she brought it on to herself, and it was like whiplashing. First thing, she was cold, hot and cold with her fiance in the Korean version, so she was, and it whiplashed, and she kept bringing stuff to attention and started, and then that's kind of how it was going. But way they explained it more into the Japanese version, it was the fact that Misa, Reina did not let Misa go, and she wanted Misa to continually be miserable. And Misa said, "I never even liked you in the beginning, but you would," and but she was still holding on to her. Raina did not want Misa to be happy, and every time she was happy, she wanted to take that away from her. And so she was almost like that stalker best friend, where she was just always there. And Misa's like, "I never even liked you. You're exhausting," but she continued allowing her in her life because she was done. She was just being nice to her. I mean, you talking about she was always there in every event of her life. She was there when she even applied to the same job as her. She couldn't even get away from her on a job. She applied to the same job with her. And the difference too was that Raina's family, and in the Korean version, they swap um, parents, right? But in this version, both Misa's parents passed away, and also Raina's parents, when they were young, passed away. So she had no family, and so she was. That's another thing. She was jealous because Misa still, at least, still had a father, and so she lied about her family. I did completely watch her trajectory, which was the Chinese version of it, and it was a mini series, or they call it micro series. It was strictly 100% idol drama, so it wasn't what we would call this mystery fantasy drama. This one would have been strictly more of an idol drama, and so it focused a lot on more cuteness, so it wasn't as dramatic. However, they did have, at the end of the Chinese version, it kept to the ending of the Korean version. They did bring in the psycho girlfriend, and then they had to circumvent all that stuff. So it was exactly the same type of version that it was in the Korean version. So thank you for watching. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscription button. I get a lot of views. I get a lot of people tuning in, but you have yet to subscribe. So I really appreciate it if you just go ahead and hit that subscription. I appreciate everybody who has tuned in, who has been watching and liking my videos and leaving comments. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining in the meeting. Meeting adjourned.